Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're looking at Mike's Homelite 330 that he sent me. And this came all the way out from Florida. So we couldn't be that much more far apart. He'd rebuilt the carb, said he could get it to fire on a prime through the carb, and that was it. Looking at it, I took a wild stab that it was probably going to have a blown carb boot, and that would be accurate. I was also missing a lot of parts on this, especially up top here. But first things first, let's go through it. So, I primed it from the top, gave it a quick fire, and I mean, it barely even rumbled. And with how much fuel I put through there, I went, "Ow, that boot is so blown out that it just poured right onto the intake," and it did. So, I'd say the boot had been leaking for quite some time. This engine inside, no joke, there are saws where I remove a pound of grease, and the way I know that is when I go back to ship, it ends up being a pound lighter than what it came to me. This saw will be that way. This was just caked with crap. So got all that stuff cleaned out, got everything cleaned up. She had good spark, but was missing the ground lead from back here that comes up to provide the switch ground, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't working. So replace that. Hoses, of course, and the pump was off. I don't know if this is a new pump. Almost looked like it might have been. Gasket, of course, was missing. This hose was missing. All the hardware for the choke, that's what's going to hurt. I don't have that stuff in stock, and by the time I pay the eBay guys, we're looking at nearly 20 bucks worth of stuff just to get the choke back in place. So that part kind of sucks. Still need to do a sprocket on it. But I've had it running, and I had it running long enough to prime this oil pump. Now this is interesting. It's probably 48, 49 degrees right now. And it took me about 5 minutes of run time to get this pump to prime. Now I didn't stop and get irritated because I had put this chunk of Tygon here so I could see air bubbles moving through it. And with the chunk of Tygon I've got feeding the bar pad, I could actually wait until I saw oil flow through there. My test with oil right here, getting bubbles, was good, but man, it was slow to prime. And I'll give you, even though it's annoying for anybody around you, one constant throttle or idle or anything like that primes faster if you sit here and bloop, bloop, just blip the throttle. This air bubble would move an inch with a good throttle blip, but if you just had it at half throttle or something like that, it would just kind of do a slow little travel. So kind of interesting. Anyway, let's take a listen. I think it's warm enough. I don't need to dink around the priming for a choke. Anyway, I will wait for those parts to come in from eBay now that I know I've got it running good. It was also missing this hand guard, which that I happen to have on hand. So, Mike, we're close. Like I say, we'll be waiting a week for eBay parts, and I don't know if I have a sprocket on hand. That may be part of what's coming from eBay. Who knows? But at least we know we got a running saw.